Okay, sound check, sound check, sound check, sound check. I don't know why it's saying private on this video. Is it not loading? Because I don't know if I accidentally made it private. This is weird. Oh no, it says, okay, good, it's public. All right. Can you ask Matt if he sees anything?
He said he can hear you.
Oh, he can? He can?
YouTube app and for us.
Yay, he can. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Matt. Love you. Like poster. Am I in the frame? No. Am I on the edge of the frame or like solid?
Have to squish in a little bit
Yeah,
more.
let's just squeeze in a teeny bit.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Coming this way. Like this. Oh, you can sit a little bit in my chair. No.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Can you? Is it? And it's unmuted, right?
Which one is this?
Yeah. Awesome. All right.
All right.
We are live and ready.
Amazing.
All right. You're listening to HerHax Podcast, a podcast by women in cybersecurity for everyone. We are coming to you live today from Objective by the Sea with Patrick Wardle and Andy Rozenberg, the founders of the Objective by the Sea conference, which is the first ever Mac-focused security conference in the world, or even I think like first Apple-focused security conference, right?
I think so.
Thank you guys
Yes,
for coming
yes,
today.
for sure.
Sorry. Thank you guys for coming today. All right. So today is October 10th, and it's actually Ada Lovelace Day, which is a day to celebrate women in STEM and women in computing. So I think it's awesome that you guys are on the podcast today. And so the first thing I kind of wanted to get into on the podcast is the origin story of the Objective by the Sea conference. How did you guys get into cybersecurity? How did you meet each other? And like what prompted creating the Objective by the Sea conference?
Wow, it's a great question. Kind of a long story. I guess I'll dive in. So I have a long background in cybersecurity. I studied computer science as an undergrad, worked at the National Security Agency. Always been really passionate, though, about sharing my ideas with the larger community, interacting with other researchers, students, et cetera, et cetera. So I was speaking at a conference in Argentina, and I was wearing a shirt from Hawaii. And I remember Andy was organizing the conference there, and I, walked out of the hotel for the speakers event, and she was there, and she like pointed at me and said, "Why are you wearing my shirt?" And I was just like, "Oh my goodness! I just landed in Argentina. It's a foreign country. I don't speak the language. Like, what's going on here?" So dive in
We're
and
speaking Spanish. We're
No. So the thing is, I was working for that conference and working with the speakers. He was one of the speakers that year. And I lived in Hawaii many years ago. It's one of my favorite places in the world. And then I go there, I'm working, and I see this guy wearing that shirt. And it came out of me. I just jumped into him and said, "Why are you wearing that shirt?" He's like, "I live here." I'm like, "Okay, we'll chat. We're going to become friends." So we started talking. We became really good friends. And I think a few years after that, he was telling me about the tools he was creating, the Objective-C tools. And because I had the know-how of how to organize a conference, I had the amazing idea of coming back to Hawaii by organizing a conference.
Yes.
So I proposed that to him, say, "What do you think if we organize a conference?" In my mind, it was kind of a fantasy, like this is not going to happen.
Yeah.
And as soon as I said that, he's like, "That's perfect. That's exactly what we should do." A month later, he tells me, "Open your email." And I had a ticket to Hawaii. And that's how Objective by the Sea started.
That's
Yeah, this was 2018,
Yeah.
so a few years ago.
So cool.
We had no idea who we were doing. To be honest, no idea.
And now Objective by the Sea is like the #1 Apple security conference in the world. There's so many amazing researchers that come out every year. I feel like this is like the place to be.
yeah, definitely. And I love Andy's story because it's exactly what happened. I mean, the conference was her idea, and I knew it was an amazing idea. But I felt that it was only something we could do together as a team. I had a lot of experience in the cybersecurity field, really good with people. No, really good with computers, not good with people. Andrea, on the other hand, has a lot of experience organizing events, really good with people. So I said, look, if we combine our skills cumulatively in collaboration, I think we can do a really neat event. And so, we announced the first event. One of the reasons it was in Hawaii was, yes, I lived there. Andy wanted to come back, but also we figured, hey, if we do it in an amazing place, at least people will show up for the venue So we didn't know, like, is anyone even going to show up? And we had a great turnout, great community involvement. And we said, wow, this is something amazing. We really need to keep this going.
Yeah.
And I think because it's just the two of us organizing the conference, super community focused. It's something that's grown amazingly, but it's something that I feel a lot of people feel part of, and that's why it's this amazing can't miss event. So
Yeah.
it's like we are part of it, but it's something that the attendees, the speakers, we're all in it together and make it a can't miss event each year.
Do
Yeah,
you?
let me,
Oh, yeah, go
sorry, let
ahead.
me add something.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about that first edition, first we didn't know if people were going to show up, but then they did. And suddenly we noticed that this was needed a place to form a community for all these amazing researchers that were doing amazing work, but they didn't have a place where they could share it with people that were doing the same things. So that's the thing we noticed from the first edition, and where we put our energy until today to form this community. And now, while you've seen it, the sense of community in this conference, like
Oh,
now
definitely.
everybody knows each other. They kept on talking, working together. So for me, that is one of the strongest points on this conference, the community that we formed.
Yeah. And I feel like Objective C and Objective by the Sea has evolved so much over time. It started with your tools and then the conference, and now the Objective C Foundation. And then last year, you announced the Objective We Initiative. So would you like to tell us more about the Objective We Initiative for people who don't know?
Yeah, well, I'd love to. And I'm going to hand it off to Andy to really dive into that. But, we recognize that there is a need for more diversity and inclusiveness in the tech space. And this is something that I think is a complicated issue, but I think that we saw opportunities where we could make impacts and support causes that are trying to address that. Since we're a nonprofit, we have a board, and there's a lot of amazing women on the board. And so they really spearheaded this effort, because I always say we didn't need another white male trying to solve this. And so, this is why I'm going to hand it off to Andy now, let her speak about it, because it's something that, they have really spearheaded and made amazing strides. And it's just been incredible to see.
Yeah. So what happened is, like I said before, we started through the conference, the needs of this space. And something that we really like to do is to listen to our community. And I've noticed that throughout the conferences, a lot of women would come to us and say, oh, this is a great place for me to expand. I was hired after talking here, women.
Yeah.
And I want to tell this story. We were, I think it was edition number 3 or 4. We were on the conference room listening to the talks, and we're sitting right next to each other, and we both receive an email from Arek, a person we really love from Kanji. And he said, I am looking at this room, and I think he said something like half of the people are women. I'm very proud of what you're doing. And suddenly we turn around, and it was true, something that we've been to many other conferences, and that didn't happen. And that suddenly clicked something in my mind, said, okay, somebody's noticing that. For us, it's normal because we're trying to do that. But then we should do something to encourage this to happen. So that's when we started talking about this. What can we do? How can we help? What is needed in this community? So we started talking to a lot of people involved, you being one of them. And we understood that this was something that we wanted to do and put a lot of energy and time and resources that we can do. We're pretty small, but having this conference in the community helps a lot. That's why we always emphasize that, saying that we need this community, because just the two of us, it's nothing. So that's where the idea came from. And since then, we started talking a lot and seeing how we could help. I mean, it's still on the early stages, and we want actually the community to come to us and say, look, here it's a need. So we're really open to listen to what's needed.
Yeah, it's something I noticed when I came to this conference and looked at the speaker list. I was like, oh, there's actually almost 50% women speakers. I've never seen that at any tech conference before. And it's been such a welcoming experience for me. It's become my favorite conference because everyone is just so nice. Like I've met people through this conference that are like, oh, if you come to town, you just stay at my house. And I'm like, you've met me one time. I could be a murderer. Everyone is so
Are you?
to be seen.
Not so far.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Cybersecurity hasn't jaded you that much.
Not yet. Yeah. My second act.
Yeah, that's a little bit the idea of this. And I think we have to do with that because we are that way. The truth is that I think the people that have the most fun doing it's us.
Yeah.
I mean, I see everybody having fun and enjoying, but me inside, I'm like, this is awesome. I'm having fun. I'm meeting people. I can think about new ideas. So I think that's reflected from us to the rest of people. So yeah, I love that about this conference.
Yeah, it is so important to have spaces for women in cybersecurity to feel like they have a community. And what I really love about this conference is I just already kind of feel like I'm part of the club. Like the day I got
You are.
here, you were so welcoming.
Mhm.
I remember when I first applied to this conference, one of my friends had said, hey, you do Apple, like you should apply. And I emailed you guys and I was like, hey, do you accept iOS talks? Because I just wasn't sure. And I was like, I don't know if they're even interested in that. But like now it's like there's so many people doing iOS and just like so many people doing everything Mac. And it's awesome. I feel like I've been able to connect a lot of people at this conference that I only knew online.
Right.
And now I feel like we're real friends.
Right.
So
IRL.
yeah. Yeah.
And just to add, one of the things I really like too is, the talks and the way we organize the conference is we really first and foremost focus on technical content. But I think we've created this community that's super welcoming and inclusive that organically we get this amazing diversity, which to me is such a testament to the community, the researchers, and people doing all this amazing work. So that to me has been really great. I never feel like we have to force it. And it goes back to what Andy said about our community, the speakers who, some of them, this is their first time speaking and they reach out and, it takes a risk to submit a talk that might get rejected, to go on stage. But I think since we built this from the beginning to be, very inclusive and community focused, the rest kind of happens very organically, which is really good to see. It never feels forced, which for us is super important.
Yeah. Let me add one more thing. Actually, what we discovered by doing this is that the talent is out there, women, men, everywhere. The big issue is some people are a little bit afraid of just submitting a talk. So I think what we've been doing is encouraging people to do it. Women are inclusive from everywhere, anywhere. And that's pretty much it. So the message that we want to put out there is that go for it. Yeah. I mean, this is a very welcoming community. So it's a very good starting point. But the talent is out there. It's not that we are no, it's out there. So I think the good thing about our conference is that we give the space for people to do it, encourage them and do it.
Yeah.
And I like that too, because we're never going to compromise the technical authenticity of the conference. I think that would be detrimental both to us and then also, oh, this person's only speaking because of XYZ. No, they deserve to be here because of the technical merit in the talk. And I think any other approach is ultimately kind of short-sighted.
Yeah.
But again, because of the amazing talent and the people who are going outside their comfort zone and submitting the talks, practicing the slides, get up on a stage in front of hundreds of people, they're the really ones that deserve the credit. And, us for them to give them a platform for them to basically shine. And, that's in a way all we're doing. The rest is up to them. And it's amazing to see them just flourish and crush it.
Yeah, I think that's a key thing that they found in research. I think both through Grace Hopper and I saw a talk, I want to say from like Chris Weissapal when he was at Veracode. Like there's all of these things about, how can we keep technical content or keep, our technical acumen, but then also improve diversity. And like you said, people are out there. They just need to know that you're looking for them.
Totally.
Exactly.
And so what they found is like if you have a job, if you just make sure that when you interview people, it's like, okay, we have 10 spots and we interview 10 men and 1 woman, then yeah, we're like probably not going to have an equal amount of people. But if we look for 10 men and 10 women, then we might actually end up hiring 50%.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
just naturally based on merit. So I really love that. Like that's how you approach it here as well.
Yeah.
And people just know about the conference now. So I wanted to highlight some of the amazing things that you've done, both as the Objective C Foundation and Objective We. You did amazing work this year raising money for Maui, your home.
Yeah.
And like that's just you're just such a giving person. And it's like you're just both so generous.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to witness that and know somebody who's like that, because I feel like you give so much and it's just like kind of like karma where like it grows and grows and grows. And something else that you did this year, so last year you promised $100,000 to various women in cybersecurity events over the course of 2023, and you sponsored season 2 of HerHax Podcast, which we are very, very grateful for. But you also have done so many other amazing things. So I would love to talk about some of the other things that you'd like to highlight and the Objective by the Sea scholarship. So please tell me about some of these amazing things.
Yeah, thank you for those kind words. I think both of us have realized that, giving back to the community is both super fulfilling and also then is just something that's super karmatic in the sense that it just pays back in dividends while, doing some good in the world. It's been, a tough year for many people, countries, and it's just been super challenging. So, to kind of give back to the community and focus on positive things, I think is really meaningful. So yeah, so last year we announced the Objective We initiative, which is basically a focus of our diversity efforts. And I just want to thank Kanji, who's our platinum level supporter, because they were really ones who are helping support this effort, and their financial donations to the foundation really also allow us to, put some financial push behind our efforts, which is amazing. So yeah, we launched it with a commitment of $100,000 to diversity. Hope that's just the start, and this is something that we're both super passionate about and is growing. I'll let Andy speak about some of the efforts of that, but I will touch on some of the student scholarships because those are kind of near and dear to me personally. So the 2 scholarships we kind of focus on are one locally in Maui. The idea is, Maui's a very expensive place to live, but there's not a lot of good jobs. So when students or high school kids graduate and maybe go off to college, they basically either end up leaving Hawaii, which is very tough because a lot of kids who grew up there love it there. It's a very family-centric culture. But for financial reasons, they basically have to move to the mainland or internationally for work, which is always kind of heartbreaking.
And they probably can't go home very often because it's so expensive.
Exactly. The other option is they come back and work like 3 jobs. So I remember, instances where, someone has a job where on the mainland that would provide them enough money. Hawaii, no. So it's just very tough. So we thought, hey, look, what if we encourage or empower high school students to go into tech-related careers? The idea is if they go off to college and get a tech degree, it opens a lot of opportunities for remote work that if they choose, they can hopefully land a job with a tech company, work remotely, and then live affordably on Maui. And so we kind of talked to some high schools. They love this idea. They said, hey, we basically need some financial resources, but also, come tell some inspiring stories about tech, because kids in Hawaii might not think about this option. So we went in, talked to some of the high schools, show some cool hacking videos, talked about like traveling the world, talking at the cybersecurity conference, kids get hooked. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And then we've provided scholarships for them to help fund some of their college, because college isn't cheap either. And so the dream is that, they get these degrees, come back to Maui. And then the win-win is, if they are working remotely, tech job, well paying, they're also going to be paying higher taxes in Hawaii, which means more money going back into the Hawaii community, which is great because the schools there, et cetera, need a lot of money. So again, looking for that win-win. So that's the first college or scholarship program we're doing. And then also
amazing.
The other one we're growing is with students here at the conference. And this year it's awesome because we have 9 students up from 4 last year.
Wow.
And that's largely, again, thanks to our amazing friends, our supporters, and also Google, who is supporting the scholarship program. And the idea is we bring students from all over to the conference. We pay for their flights, their hotels. They can take a training of their choice for free instead of having to pay a few $1,000s. Come to the conference, hear the talks, meet the companies. And then we also encourage the companies to come here who are always looking for new talent, diverse talent. And it's just amazing because again, it's a win-win. And meeting the students, they're so bright-eyed and just like stoked about all the things. So happy to be here. It's just something that's so fulfilling and so incredible. So again, that's something we're trying to increase and grow because again, it's a great way for us to encourage diversity in the community. And I think this year we had almost 200 students apply. We could only accept 9, but again, that shows that there's a need.
Right.
And the students we selected are amazing. They're just like brilliant, publishing amazing thesis on cybersecurity talk. Like they're the future. So it's great for them to come be part of this community now, connect, see a lot of like, amazing researchers who are their role models, see that diversity in tech is something that's achievable and be inspired by that.
That's amazing.
I'll add something to all this.
Yeah.
So because the Objective We program is so new, and our first step was to identify what's needed and happening. So the two main lines that we decided to follow are communication about this, what we were saying before. The talent is out there. Let's put this out and see what we find. And the second, and this has to do with your very kind words, which thank you, is something that we talk very often, if not all the time. And it has to do with our backgrounds and why we decided to do all the things that the foundation does. And we always get to the conclusion that the most important thing is education. We are people that we love education. We think education is the solution for many, many things, and in this space too. So the second line of the Objective We program is education. So most of the programs that we've been doing almost this whole year has been through communication and education. So HerHax Podcast is one of them, communication. We love what you do. I think the topics that you select are very important, that are good for the people that we want to educate, right? So for example, the students that they're coming to the conference, as Patrick was saying. So a lot of the projects that we worked throughout the year are about education. So the students in Maui, the students that are coming to the conference, which is huge for them, it might be life-changing, not only for the education that they're getting, the trainings, but also the contacts, the networking, the understanding of how this security field works. And for them, it's changing. And the other projects that we did are, for example, the Diana initiative that they do the conference in Vegas, which is also education, empowering women to give talks, and then the crowd. So that's important to us. And a few of those programs are back from Argentina, where I'm from, where I worked in a different conference and an academy. It's an academy for hackers.
Yeah.
So we've sent some scholarships there too, because the talent there, it's amazing, but the resources are very limited.
Mm-hmm.
So what we try to do is identify all that and then give them the support and just all the context that we could do. So basically the Objective We program has been go through these two main lines, communication and education. Yeah. So there's a lot of more information in our website that talks about this, the projects, when, who, also books. That this surprise, but in the conference, everybody will be getting a book. So we stand behind education a lot.
Yeah, you honestly, it's so generous and it's just amazing. Like I love watching everything that you guys do. I remember my first year, even before Objective We started, but my first conference was Objective by the CVV4. And you're giving out stickers for IMUA Family Services, right. And that's for families in Maui with children with disabilities.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was really close to my heart because my sister is a special education teacher. And so I was like, oh, I have to get her one of these stickers. Oh, what a great place. And you were like, oh, if anybody would like to donate, you can get a t-shirt for a donation directly to Amua Family Services. And I was just like, this conference is so like, it's just amazing to kind of get connected with all of these things that like really make you think how lucky we are
So lucky.
and like to give back to other people. So I do want to ask, what can we expect next from Objective We? Do you have any exciting plans? And if you're saving it to the end of the conference, that's okay. We don't know, because I remember last year, Objective We was your big announcement and closing ceremony. So no spoilers, no pressure on that. But is there anything that you're looking forward to either this year or next year that you can talk about, perhaps?
I will say we have something very exciting that we've been mulling on that I think will grow the organization and is super aligned with Objective We, but we are going to save it for the end of the conference
Okay.
to discuss. So make sure you tune into
I
that.
think
He's going to tell me later when I end the live stream.
True.
but I think the only thing I can say that it continues on this line of communication and education, but it's gonna be nice.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think we've seen just the impact we can have in individuals' lives. Like the students you said, it's, you think about students when they're graduating, right? They're about to embark on their career. And that's like actually a huge crossroads in people's lives. I mean,
Yeah.
you get down the path of a good career, like that's hugely important, and vice versa. If you kind of maybe don't land that good job or not sure what you want to do, that can be frustrating.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've just been looking for opportunities where we can continue to give back to the community, make content more accessible, highlight more of the role models, the amazing speakers we have at the conference, because I think that's hugely important too. Like we said, the talent is out there. Sometimes it just needs that extra push, that belief. And I think having role models you can look up to and be like, wow, that woman was in the same position I am, and they tackled this, and that's inspiring. I can do this too. That's huge.
Something I have an idea actually right now.
Yes.
What if we did, and I can put it on myself to be in charge so that you don't, because you are already doing so much.
Okay.
What if we had a speaker kind of like training program or speaker like mentoring program for people that are afraid to apply to speak?
I love
Because
this.
my DMs are open on Twitter. If anybody, has questions, isn't sure, I would be happy to. So
Love that. That's
huge.
That's actually on the list of things.
Really?
So I think
Oh.
You're hired.
yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in sync.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thoughts.
Yeah.
Great
Yes.
minds.
No, I love this because one of my favorite story is we had this woman researcher doing incredible work, and it's kind of like, hey, you should come talk, and CFP is open again. Kind of the challenges of, I haven't spoken publicly at a big conference before. English is not my first language. Tech is kind of male dominated. Super understandable. So okay, let's figure out how to mentor, provide some feedback. She comes, just gives this incredible talk. Gets hired shortly thereafter by a large fruit company.
Wow.
Relocated to London, like
Wow.
just amazing, and all
Incredible.
credit and talent to her. But I think it was an opportunity where the conference was, again, just that platform for her to shine and for the world to see the amazing things we were doing. And so exactly kind of how do we reach out, inspire, maybe mentor people who have the talent, but maybe public speaking isn't something they've done a lot or they're nervous about, which is super understandable. We've all
Yeah.
been there.
Oh
So
yeah, I still get nervous. I think
Yeah.
I'm like shaking right now. You just can't tell.
under the table. So love the idea. We'll sync on it for sure.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's amazing.
For sure.
And then they can come on the podcast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. HerHax Podcast, looking for more guests. So to wrap up, this has been wonderful. I really appreciate you guys coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So what are some ways that listeners can support Objective by the Sea and Objective We?
So there's a few ways. I'll talk of maybe more the corporate ways. You can maybe talk about more of the other ways as well. So the main way the foundation is funded is by a program called the Friends of Objective-C. And these are companies that have made donations to our nonprofit to really support our vision. And I really can't give them enough credit because, we work hard, but, putting on a conference, student scholarships, all costs money. And we're able to receive that with the generosity of these companies. So oftentimes when people say, wow, we love what you do, how can you help us? How can we help you? I always say, hey, go talk to, if you're employed at a company, go talk to them and like say, hey, have you thought about sponsoring the Objective-C Foundation? They're a 501c3, they're doing great work. They're, hiring or training the next generation of talent. And so last year we had one of our speakers who worked for Google kind of saying, wow, I love this. And I was like, I can't go to Google and be like, sponsor us. But if you maybe put in the good word and work from the inside, and they did that. And now Google is sponsoring our student scholarship program. And now we've tripled the number of students that we can bring to the conference this year. And that number is just going to increase. So, I mean, that's just a great example where the individual who worked at the company was able to kind of work from the inside to help us. So we found that super, super helpful because we're still a pretty small nonprofit. Not everyone knows about us. But if someone from the inside, so if you work at a big company who, wants to support the community, come chat, put in the good word. So that's really one great way that people would support us kind of financially.
And I think the second part is, well, you've seen it's only 2 people doing all this. And sometimes we don't see everything. So just encourage people to come to us and give their ideas like you just did.
Amazing.
This is how we grow. This is what we've been doing the past 5 years, listening to people and from those ideas, making them happen. So if anyone is thinking about, oh, maybe Objective we could help on this, or in the conference, you should do this. Like, for example, we're having in this conference a CTF, and that was proposed by Erica, which I thank her.
Thank you.
It was her idea, and she's like, I can pull this off, help me with this. So anyone that has ideas, that thinks that we can be better on something, that can bring, we are super open to listening to that. We actually encourage everyone to do it. If it's bad idea, we'll say, look, that's it. Maybe in 2
Next
years.
year.
Maybe next year. But we want that. We want people coming to us and saying, you should do this. This is an idea. I would love if you take a look at this. Because it's 2 people, it's hard. So if we have the support of the community, the ideas, and then that's what I would like to. I think that's how we can grow and do amazing things.
Yeah, and that's true. And one other idea too is just continue word of mouth. So again, thank you so much for having us on, because the more people that hear about us, it really empowers us and our program. So one example, one of the students who's attending, I was talking to her, I was like, was it tough to get off a week from school? She's kind of in her final semester, like doing all this stuff to come to this conference. And she's like, yeah, I was worried about it, but my professor actually knew of your conference and was like, go, this is an amazing opportunity. Tell me all about it. So the fact that her professor knew about it made it easier for her to come and be part of that. And so that's only, again, because of word of mouth, people retweeting us, talking to their employers about us, putting in the good word. We don't have a social media team. We don't have a marketing team. So really the community being behind us and supporting us has a huge ripple effect that then pays dividends for everyone. And ultimately, for example, allows more students to come and that kind of stuff. So that's all super helpful as well.
Yeah, and also I want to go back in time and just thank all the people that have been supporting us, even just by showing up to the conference. I can thank some of them like Adam, Brandon, Mike, Jaron. Those are familiar faces that we see at the conference. And we don't take that for granted. Like every time I see them coming again to the conference, thank you, we need familiar faces. For us, it's a huge, incredible support. So also by coming to the conferences, that's a huge plus for us. So yeah, I think that's it, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. All right. So takeaways for the audience, the 5 people listening, I'm just kidding. Probably more. We'll see. Or if you're watching this replay, please donate to the Objective-C Foundation. Seriously, it's an amazing nonprofit. You do so much great work. Come to this conference. Objective by the Sea is literally the best conference I've ever been to. And reach out to me on Twitter. You can reach me at X71N3 or HerHax Podcast, and I would be happy to help you work on your Objective by the Sea proposal for next year.
Thank you so much. And thank you for listening.
Thank you everyone for listening. All right, now I have to awkwardly stop the live stream. Oh yeah.